My main camera, y'all already know, is the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Quality Time, where I share the tea on my favorite tech to help you level up your life. Today, we're diving into the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. Now, when I first got this camera, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, no. Why do I look gray? This can't be the $500 camera that everybody was raving about. It just can't be. It was very much giving return to sender energy immediately. But then I decided to sit down and take some time to actually learn how to use this camera. And it is then that I realized that it's not the camera, it's me. It's me. I'm the problem. I'm the drama. And if you have come to that same realization that it's you, not the DJI, then you've come to the right place. Because in this video, I'm gonna be sharing the settings that I use on the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 to get my footage from looking like, who is that? To, ooh, who is that? Okay, we're gonna get it together. Okay, first things first, you're gonna go into your settings and adjust the resolution and the frame rate. If you're going for more of a cinematic look that's similar to what you see on TV, then I'd recommend setting it at 24 frames per second. And if you plan on doing slow motion, then you can go up to 60. Now, let's talk about why you may be looking a little ashy or a little gray in your DJI footage. The culprit is probably your white balance. The default setting is auto, and with that setting, the DJI is constantly adjusting that white balance setting. So you may get some varying colors throughout your footage, which we don't really want. So I'd recommend going into the pro settings and adjusting the white balance manually. I think somewhere between 4,500 and 5,500 is a good place to stay if you're shooting indoors. I find that going closer to 5,500 works for me and my darker skin complexion to keep those warm, rich tones. I feel like if you go lower into the cooler colors, that's when you start to look a little ashy. So feel free to go in there and adjust it based on your personal preference. Also, if you want even more control of the color in your video, don't be afraid to switch your color profile to D-Log. Yes, I know, jump scare, like what is that? But trust me, doing so will give you more control of the final look of your video. It's not as scary as it seems. And DJI actually offers free LUTs that you can use. And it's so easy to kind of upload this to whatever editing software you use and just drop it onto your footage, and the color is immediately restored. You don't have to think about it. And you can still go in and make further tweaks to the color as you please. If you don't want to do any of that, go ahead and keep it in normal. I think the camera does a pretty good job of giving you some nice colors. Now let's get into lighting and exposure settings, because they play a pretty crucial role in the final look of your videos. I personally have found that the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 works when there is ample lighting, okay? So if you're like in the darkest corner of your house, like you're probably not gonna get the best of this camera. I'm just keeping it completely real with you. So my suggestion would be to shoot in front of like an open window or in a room that gets a lot of natural lighting. If that's not an option for you, then I would recommend investing in artificial lighting. You can get something like the Godot 60 LW and shoot that right at the ceiling, and it'll light up the room for you. That's actually what I'm doing right now. And the last option would be to just kind of use this as an outdoors on-the-go camera, because I find that it does really, really well outdoors in, natural light. Next, let's check out the exposure settings. ISO. You have the option to go into your pro settings and adjust the ISO settings. I recommend keeping it as low as possible, because the higher you go, the more noise you introduce to your video. I typically keep mine between 50 and 200. However, if you don't have a lot of natural light or lighting available, then you can play around with increasing this number. It really depends on the environment that you're in. Another setting that I like to change is the EV exposure value. By default, I feel like this camera shoots on the brighter side. And if you're looking for more of that like darker aesthetic, or if you're of a darker skin complexion like myself and you kind of want your face not to be washed out or looking ashy, I'd recommend dropping this number. I typically go with anything from -0.3, -0.7, and sometimes I even go up to -1. Again, it depends on your preference, the look you're going for, and also the environment that you're shooting in. Now, if you're shooting outdoors in direct sunlight and it is like beaming down on you and your camera and you're like, I can't use this footage, I highly recommend looking into ND filters to balance out the exposure. These here are from the brand Newer, and it's a set of 6 filters, 4 of which are ND filters, which is going to help you reduce the amount of light that's coming in through your lens. These filters go from 16 all the way to 256. The higher that number, the more the light is reduced, and the lower the number, the more light that is let in. To me, these are a must-have for the DJI Osmo Pocket 3, especially if you do a lot of outdoor shooting. And even indoors, if you're sitting close to a window and you find the light is a bit too harsh, get you some. And now let's wrap things up by talking about focus settings, because your footage is going to be worthless if you're out of focus, just completely worthless, okay? Unless that's the look you're going for, do your thing. But if you're wanting to get high quality focus video, here are the settings you'll want to look into. By default, the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 is set to continuous autofocus, which is good if you're constantly on the move and you need it to continuously focus on you as you move. But if you plan on sitting in one place like I'm doing currently, you may want to switch it to single autofocus so you have more control of where the focus is set. There's also a feature called Product Showcase, which you may have already heard about from Sony cameras, and it works pretty much the same. It allows you to tell the camera to please focus on what's in the foreground and blur out the background. We love a little bokeh. And lastly, if you are filming yourself, be sure to turn on face tracking so the camera knows to track that beautiful face of yours. And that's it. Once I got these settings right, this camera became my best friend. Is it my main camera? No, I prefer to use a mirrorless camera for my talking head videos and some of my more aesthetic videos. However, this is a really great on-the-go type camera, especially if you're filming outdoors. I really think you can get a lot out of this camera. So if you are planning on returning your DJI Osmo Pocket 3, go ahead and pump the brakes and try out the settings that I shared here and let me know how it works out for you. All right, that brings us to the end of this quality time video. Until the next time, toodles.